Good morning, everyone. How are you doing tonight? I wanted to speak on this topic of deepening acceptance of what is. Part of what I found is this strategy that I'm sure many others have developed and shared through history. And one of the forms it takes for me is this set of reminders that particularly when I feel like I'm failing at life and I'm not doing enough, I'm not doing it well enough, I'm not coping well enough, things like that. Pardon me. So, during those times, I remind myself that I do what I can, when I can, how I can, and that has to be good enough. It has to be enough. When I need to remind myself of this, it generally doesn't feel good enough. And the inner critic goes to instances where I was able to do more. Um, Generally, if I were comparing apples to apples, only times I might have actually literally been able to do more would likely have been when I did it um, at a major detriment to myself, a big cost. So I would have been acting in ways that were not only not sustainable, but were actually eroding the capacities that I had because I was overextending myself so much. So when I use this phrase that I do what I can, when I can, how I can, and that has to be good enough. It's part of my overall aspiration toward more kind and compassionate self care. That's part of it. Part of it is this deepening acceptance of where my limitations are and the limitations on what's possible. And that includes both the range of capacities I have at any given time in my life and the functional ability to utilize those capacities at any given hour of my day or night. They vary quite widely, and it's been so long, I don't even remember now. I can't even remember what these variables were like back when I had enough health function capacity that I was still able to work full time and engage in other social activities and life activities on an ongoing basis. So, I do know that I did what I call a town trip, which means an outing. Generally, it involves chemical exposures to things in the ordinary way humans live these days, at least in my country. And so there's always a health and function cost, uh, temporary period of nervous system hyperstimulation, and then the crash phase, the nervous system depression, along with all the detoxification processes that have to occur um, before I come back up to what was my baseline before that exposure. And this time, a few days ago, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, I went out and did a more elaborate town trip than I've recently been doing. And it included 2 hours in the dental office with 3 doses of anesthesia, including a cocktail that I haven't had before, maybe never in the past, certainly in the past 2 decades, maybe 3 or more. Anyway, so that's probably part of the downtime, what's affecting the downtime. So, what I'm wanting to express about this is that even as even as low as my function has gotten since this last trip, uh, I've had many reasons for gratitude. I could tell that my body was starting to throw off toxins uh, very actively within several hours after uh, I got back to my dwelling. That's great. Um, the resilience of the body's detoxification systems, and um, and I've been able to tell for the most part, like maybe not exactly hour by hour, but as the hours go by in the day, the gradual increasing capacity, the clearing of my mind, um, even with as groggy as I've been. Another strategy that really helps is to schedule in advance designated downtime for the post exposure period. There was a time when um, it was about a 28-day recovery cycle. And these years, these months, these days, it's more 10 to 14 days, which is a huge improvement for me. And it's wonderful. I feel so grateful that I have the spaces for knowing that there will be capacity, that if I have to pay a bill during some of the recovery period, I'm generally able to get it done may take a lot longer. I may have to do it a lot more deliberately. I could still get it done. Tasks like that. So, yes, there's still grieving for a capacity that's not available. And, excuse me, um, and there's gratitude for the function that's here, the relative predictability of it, dependability, not necessarily predictability, all subject to impermanence, of course, but the to be able to know that there will be windows of possibility for enjoying life, for taking care of not only the most critical tasks, but also being able to work on reducing the burden of so many things that have needed to get done that have gone by the wayside or piled up over the years. Um, my beautiful orchid flowers. I heard Rick Hansen express this kind of as uh, appreciating the capacity that remains. I like to say the beauty that remains, the beauty that exists. So, one of the silver linings, the gold linings of having had several periods of profound, extended debilitation is the development of appreciation and gratitude for how green the grass is on this side of the fence. While there's also grieving for what has been lost and what may never be available again. Okay, if I don't stop now, I'm just going to keep talking for a bit. So, thank you for listening. I hope some of that was helpful for you in some way. May you be well. Namaste.